Good morning, everybody. Coming out at bright and early 9 a.m. Really appreciate it. My name is Ian Mikatel. I'm a senior product manager in the Office org at Microsoft. Specifically, I work on the OneNote product and the new Whiteboard product that some of you may be familiar with. And I do all the digital inking across that portfolio.
And my name is Marta Luis Burguete, and I'm also a program manager in Office. I particularly work on the graphics team, who does a lot of the ink across the whole Office ecosystem. But we also do some other cool stuff like 3D models, icons, SVG. That's all still the graphics team. And so today we want to get us started with a little video just to make sure everybody's on the right frame of mind for pen. We want to show you what the power of pen and how we think about it. Some of you may have seen this video because it's also a TV commercial.
Cool. So before I jump into some more of this, I just want to get a quick show of hands from the room. How many of you today have pen or ink integrated into some of your work streams and workflows or companies? Wow.
Ooh, awesome.
Okay. A good majority of you. So for folks watching online or watching later, that was probably about 60 or 70% of the room maybe. So that's great. So today we're going to give you kind of a good overview of how Microsoft thinks about digital inking. And also for folks that are already using it, we're going to kind of unveil some new stuff that's come out recently, and a couple tricks up our sleeve that I think will be cool to show with you. So the first slide here that we want to talk about is really how do we think about ink internally at the company. And it kind of boils down to these three core principles. The first one is, if you think about digital inking, it has this kind of ancestry coming from the analog equivalent that we're all used to, we all grew up with, of pen and paper. And so as we build digital experiences that try to mimic that, we have to have this principle of it being natural and feeling as close to that real analog experience that everybody's already familiar with as possible. And so we kind of think about it as a natural experience in the digital sense. The second one is that as we build these experiences, they need to be consistent and pervasive across everywhere in the Microsoft ecosystem that you may be working with. And for a little context, over a decade ago now, with some of our tablet PC days, the OneNote app in particular integrated digital inking really early on. And over the years, we've built it out through more and more applications throughout Office and throughout Windows and our whole Microsoft ecosystem. But because of the way things developed over time, it wasn't always this consistent experience in all the different apps. And so very recently, in the past year or two, we've started to take a big effort to actually bring a lot more consistency across all the places you may encounter the pen and ink. And the reason that that actually matters is really just it's an end user thing, right? Like if you learn how to do something in one place once, you don't want to have to relearn it in another spot. You should be able to transfer that knowledge that somebody learned to another app, another task, and kind of build from there. And the third one is the one I get the most excited about. It's that we can actually do something that analog pen and paper just cannot do, which is add a layer of intelligence on top of digital ink. And we're going to show you a bunch of examples today of how we're already beginning to do that to give you a taste of it. But this is an area where if you've probably attended any other sessions this week on intelligence, AI, there's just a mountain, just so much we can do in this space to really bring to life digital inking. And also to, like I said, make it do things that the analog pen and paper just could never, ever do. And that starts to unlock a lot of the value in people's minds of, oh, now I understand why it might make sense to start using some of this technology. So those are the three core principles about how we think about ink in the company. The other part that I wanted to call out here is that digital inking is a unique space in the sense that from a software perspective, which is how Marta and I think about it, we're on software teams, it's a unique area to work on because it takes a lot of great hardware to really make these things come to life. So it's not just a software experience that we can go build in isolation. We need amazing hardware, everything from the pen itself, obviously, but there's some other factors to this that people don't realize, like for active pens, which Microsoft uses, behind the screen there's a digitizer, which is reading the information from the pen when you put it to the screen. you got to have a good component there inside the screen to make a good experience. Even things that you may not think of as inking pieces of the hardware experience, like the hinge on the device, right? That lets you push it down to a degree where it's comfortable to write with and natural. So there's a whole range of things that the hardware actually allows us, from software perspective, to unlock and do. So it's a really interesting space to work on. And I would just throw out there and posit for all of you as decision makers for your organizations that decide on which technology to use. If digital inking after this presentation, or if it's already interesting to you, is something that you want to invest in, give some thought to the hardware side of things. That can really help make the end-to-end solution really, really amazing.
Okay, so we've told you a little bit of how we think about ink in Microsoft and how the hardware matters, but you're perhaps still thinking, well, how does it help your customers? Why ink? Why should they be using ink? And for us, it really boils down to the more modern workspace. Now, this is kind of funny because we obviously didn't know what Satya was going to talk about in the keynote, but we're glad he's on the same page than we are, and he cares about the modern workspace. But it's really about the digital transformation that we're experiencing. We have done a lot of research, and we talked to a lot of customers, and we've noticed that very similar to how a few years ago, the way people started bringing their own devices into work changed the way that enterprises dealt with the variety of devices. The way people are interacting outside of work is changing the way they work. And so a lot of that is generated by millennials entering the workforce. And I know we tend to think about millennials as really young people that don't really are in the workforce yet, but actually by 2025, 75% of the workforce will be millennials. So that is a huge number, right? And it really means that however they're communicating and however changes they're having on how they do things, we really need to be ready for it. And so one of the data that is super important for us is that 32% of employees spend less than 50% of their time at their desk. That's huge, because that means there's a whole lot of work that happens while you're commuting, maybe from home because you like working from your couch. Maybe you're waiting for your kids to get out of soccer. Maybe you meet with a lot of partners, so you work from coffee shops. But it does not happen at your desk. And very related to this, another data point is that people are using more than 5 devices per day. Cell phone is still the most used device. It doesn't mean it's the most used device for productivity, but it gives us a really good insight into the world where you had a work PC and a personal laptop is no longer the case. Now people just use the device that they need for the circumstances they are on for whatever the task they want to achieve. Now there's another really important component to the modern workspace, which is we're seeing more and more automation happening. We're seeing more intelligence coming into your workflows. And that means that the way the work we have to do is changing. You no longer have to do a lot of menial tasks. You no longer have to go to your desk, work from 9 to 5 in this independent task, get it really finalized, and only then share it. What we are looking at is a very strong collaboration. It's about removing that org chart to get the things done and just finding the right people to get the work done the best possible way. And so that new way of working is creating a need for people to be explorers and to be very idealistic about what technology can do for them. People are much more willing to go and find out what is out there that can help me achieve what I want to achieve. What is the new thing that is going to help me really be that productive, that is going to make that jump for me on the way we're working. And it's also really thinking people are believing that it's possible because they're seeing all of these examples with intelligence. They're seeing all of these examples with like working asynchronous or working synchronously. Everything needs to work. And so when we look at this range of these are all the new ways people are working. This is everything that we need to go and support. We really think that it boils down to 2 very important scenarios, creation and collaboration. And when you think about it, people were already using pen and paper to do all of that. Ink is a great player on this space. Ink is already helping you achieve those things.
Awesome. So one thing I mentioned earlier was about how we think about being better than pen and paper, and we actually internally think of pen and paper as our biggest competition. It's not the other big companies. It's actually just the cheapest thing that's the easiest for anyone to grab. And so pen and paper is our biggest competition. So naturally, you have to think about how are we better than our competition, right? That's a natural thing to do. And so we put this slide together to talk a little bit about how we think digital inking is better than pen and paper. And we boiled it, again, down to 3 core points. The first one is that it's the best way to enhance existing content. And this really speaks to the fact that most of you probably in your organizations today are already working with most of your documents in a digital form. You're not working with a lot of like physical paper. And so it just naturally makes sense that to kind of enhance that digital content, you should have an equivalent that is just like the pen that you had to annotate on paper documents, right? And so it's the best way to enhance content in a digital way. It's also, the second point there is the most optimal way, or the most efficient, to make your content more professional. In particular, for a certain kind of work. So we have some other workplace trends that I'm going to give a call out for another talk I'm doing this afternoon on the new whiteboard app that I work on. And some of the workplace trends that we identify there that were the reasons we built that app is that as we move forward with more automation and more AI being infused throughout all of our work streams and workflows, the day-to-day work of every individual in most organizations is going to be more creative, problem-solving thinking. And so when you start thinking about the tasks and scenarios around that type of work, it typically lends to things that the pen is actually really, really good for. It's things like drawing a schematic or flowcharting out an idea or a process. And those types of ideas or those processes really lend themselves well to being able to use your hand and get the thought from your brain through your arm to the screen as fast as possible. And so we're going to talk and show you some examples about how we've already built a bunch of features throughout Office to help you do that with the pen, but then make the content a lot more professional, because I will probably not shock any of you, there's a stigma out there with digital ink that it's more informal. It's not used for things that need to be professional. And so we're Office, that's kind of our job to think about that, right? And so we've done a lot of work to help people take the pen as an easy modality, an input method, and then still have it be something that you can feel confident sharing with other people. It's professional. It can be used with, other folks in your company. And then the last point is it's the fastest way to kind of digitize your thoughts and also remember them. And so if you think about it, and we're going to show some examples of features again that illustrate this, but it kind of goes to a lot of research that's out there that shows both in the education world but also in the professional world, when you have an instrument in your hand and you physically write it, there's a lot of research that shows your brain will actually remember that better than if you typed it. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One is that you slow down a little bit. There's some actual motor kind of memory things that go on. But it makes sense that if we're working in a digital world, wouldn't it be great to have those same benefits that you had back when you had the analog pen and paper? And so that's another core reason why we think we can be better in a digital world.
So we've talked about what is ink, or Microsoft Ink, and why Microsoft Ink, but you're probably also wondering how we're going to achieve all of this within Microsoft. And so what we did, and Ian kind of referred to it a little bit a few slides ago, is that we've taken a step back and we said, the days where we could just go and build a feature for an app that uses your pen and just leave it at that, that's just not going to make it anymore. If we think that ink and your pen is an input method that is a first-class citizen of the ecosystem, we have to treat it as such. We have to take a step back and making sure that we remove all of those silos within features. We remove all of those limitations of oh, this works this way here, but it doesn't work that way there. This feature exists here, but it doesn't exist there. It's about designing for the ecosystem. It's about making sure that you understand how your pen works and what you can do with it, regardless of where you are. And so that's super important for us. It's a really new way of thinking about it, not as something that you build features for, but as an input method that you need to support. And the second one is that because we're thinking on that way, we are partnering super close with our Windows partners. And they couldn't be here today, we're giving the talk, but you're gonna see a lot of the examples, a lot of the features would not be possible without them. And it's really causing a full transformation of the space, because the moment that we all get in the room and decide what the North Star is that we wanna go towards, it's much easier to build it. Because now we're no longer having to say, okay, well, these are the building blocks that I have, and I'm just gonna build experiences on top of that. This is about the company deciding, this is how we see this input method working, this is the world we wanna live in, how do we make this happen? And we can go so much more faster that way. So for us, it's really exciting. And then the last one is about focusing on ink strengths. One of the things that we hear often is well, I want to keep using my keyboard, and my answer is always me too. I don't want to just use my pen. I don't want to write a really long document with my pen. I'm way faster typing. So it's not about taking scenarios that are great using keyboard and making them work with the pen. That's no reason for that. We're not going to prevent it. You're more than welcome to do so. But we really want to unlock those scenarios that are just not possible to do with your keyboard today, that are just really hard. You can think about many examples of them, like for example.
Yeah, this is a slide we put together. It's kind of a joke. Type this is the title of the slide. These are a bunch of examples of things that would be very difficult to do with your keyboard. Not necessarily impossible. Some of them may be, but very time-consuming, laborious, kind of just a pain. Everything from, like I said earlier, drawing a flow chart to doing some kind of math or a schematic to sketching out an idea for a concept or a product development idea. There's a whole range of stuff. I like the example at the top there. You see an image from a map, and then you're doing a bunch of annotations and stuff like that. So if you think about one scenario where you just have a piece of existing content and you need to kind of add a layer of communication above that piece of content, Ink is just amazingly good at that. It would be kind of difficult to do with the keyboard. So this was a slide we put together just to say, try typing some of these scenarios. And I'll just underscore what Marta was saying, which is, I'll give you a quick little anecdote. We did what we call CVT testing internally. It's called concept value testing in Microsoft. And we go to a bunch of different cities, and then we sample with people a bunch of concepts that we're thinking about internally. And we did this for inking just, gosh, maybe a month ago. Mm-hmm. And one of the biggest pieces of feedback from all a range of people was, well, I just don't understand why I would do this. I have a keyboard. Isn't it just the same thing, but like slower? And we're trying to just kind of evangelize the fact that there's a lot of scenarios out there where it can be additive to the keyboard. It's not meant to replace the keyboard. It's meant to be in addition to it. And so just think about that in some of the work streams and workflows and things that you may do inside your company. When could the pen actually be the better input method? So we want to roll a video here. This is actually a TV spot that we have had that gives you some sense of some stuff that we've been building with ink.
And my passion is performing. Being in that classroom, that's my stage. When kids are coming into my classroom, they know that Mr. Jackson is the rapping teacher. Welcome to 4th grade. Today will only be a short day. I'm Mr. Jackson. I like to laugh and, of course, play. Rap is a great way to engage students. It's literacy and vocabulary words. Technology is a huge piece of education. Using the pen for the first time on the Windows 10 PC was a lot of fun and really inspiring. I'm able to highlight different rhyme schemes and delete. The addition of being able to write over video where it can really bring it to life is really exciting. I can actually see my lines when I'm shading in. I can change the weight drawing directly on my screen. I couldn't do this on my Mac. All of my kids are performers too, and I'm trying to bring the best performance out of them that I can. I can see the future happening. I mean, I feel like the sky's the limit.
Awesome. So that video was fully packed of features that we've been shipping on the last few months. And so we're going to start like unpacking a little bit and talking about each one of them so you guys can get all of the details about them. And we want to start with the features that help you create, because as we said, we want to really focus on that creation experience and in that collaboration experience. And so for us, creating has a really strong component about being able to express yourself. So the first thing we need to do is give you the tools to be able to do so. So we've created this new Draw tab on the ribbon, and this tab is the first one we've added since 2007, which for me is huge because it really gives you like a view into how important do we think ink is and that your pen is as an input method, that we want to put it really right at your fingertips. We don't want you to have to be like searching for like, oh, I want to change this and that. Like it's right there, it's really important, it's that important that it took us 10 years to add a new tab, and this is the first one we added.
It's a good marker in Office. If there's a new tab,
that's like a big deal.
Right? Yeah.
And so you have what we call your ink toolbox. You can add your customized set of pencils, and highlighters, up to 15 of them. And you can define exactly which color do you want. Do you want a special effects, which we've recently shipped, and you have like Galaxy Pen and Rainbow Pen and a whole lot of other very particular textures for your pens. You can decide the weight of it. I'm gonna like roll in a little video so you can see a lot of this in action while I talk. But like, it's about like being able to like work with the Windows guys, for example, to get that really low latency that allows you to get that really natural experience while you're using your pens. And we also roam all of that configuration across apps and across devices. which for us is huge because it's about, again, having the tools that you need the moment you need them and not have to reconfigure everything every time. If you decided that you do a lot of schematics and your color coding has a meaning for you, we don't want you to have to go to another app and redo all of that. We want you to just be there ready for you whenever you're ready to use it. The next one is about segment eraser and ruler. And for me, I get really, really excited about these two features. And the reason is that we took something that everybody knows how to use. Everybody has used a ruler. Everybody has used an eraser. And we made them better. We made them better than the analog version of them. Because now you no longer need to have a super steady hand to draw those lines. We are technology. We can make it smarter for you. We can just make it snap to the ruler as you did, oops, sorry. There. We can make it snap to the ruler so you don't have to be super precise with it. And then for segment eraser, what it does is that it finds the intersection between two ink strokes and it deletes the previous one all the way to the intersection. So as you saw on the video, if you have that type of diagramming of plan that you're drawing and you want to clean that up, it's just one single quick swoop of the pen and you're ready. And that will be basically impossible to achieve the same quality on pen and paper. So it's really taking those analog experiences and enhancing them, making them magical with the help of intelligence and being more smart than the analog version. And then finally, there's a little story here. So one part of expressing yourself and really using ink, we also think about bring to your personal part into it. And so I actually perform on the side, outside of work, but I'm what you would call internet shy. I don't want to be on the internet. So, ink is great because now, thanks to the work that the Windows folks have done, you can completely hide myself on the video, but still show it to all of you. You can add a bunch of comments into it, which I think is really funny. And this is something that it would be impossible to think that we could do a couple years ago. So it really tells you how far the technology is coming along. And you can do this for fun, we just did over here. But you can also imagine how helpful would that be when you're trying to communicate to someone and helping someone understand a process that is happening that has been recorded and add your annotations on top to call attention to the exact moment that you want to call attention, to the exact situation that you want to be following through. So it's really awesome to see all of that happening.
Cool. So this next piece here, I love that example with the video. But this next piece here is, I mentioned earlier about creating professional content with ink. It's not something people typically think about. And so we wanted to show you some examples about how we're enabling that. The first one here is something we call ink shape recognition. So we like to say start rough and end polished. So in this example, you see on the top row there are some shapes that I drew with my hand. I'm actually a terrible drawing person. I can't do it at all. So you can see how bad those shapes look. And then what we do in the behind the scenes is we recognize the points in the strokes that you drew. And we say, oh, we know that you were trying to draw a circle or a triangle. And we perfect it into something that looks much more professional. And it happens automatically. You don't have to go fiddle with any settings. It's just magic. You just draw it and it happens. So I really love that particular feature. That's something that is now in all the Office apps. So you can take advantage of that where you have the pen and ink. The next example, I'm even more excited. This is something brand new that I think some of you here are going to be the first people to actually see. This is OneNote, the Windows 10, the new version of it. And you'll see in this example, there's a bunch of writing with ink that we selected, and we hit our ink to text button. That's a feature that's existed in OneNote for a long time. Many of you may be familiar with it, but we've enhanced it. And so now ink to text actually respects a lot of new properties of your inking. Things like if you highlighted in ink, or if you wrote in multiple colors, or if you used our new ink effects that have colors built into the stroke itself. If you've written in different sizes with your ink. We understand all of that now, and when we convert it to text, as you see in this video, we respect it, and we take the text and make it as close to as we can when we format it for you. And this is awesome, because it means that you can express yourself more, but you can also, if you want, then take that content, copy and paste it places that maybe it doesn't accept ink yet. You can share it around a little bit more easily. You can just send the notes off to your boss, whatever. So this is something that's coming brand new to OneNote. We're super excited about our enhanced ink to text. And then the third one here is something that we launched in OneNote recently to allow you to take your math that you wrote with ink, which is something I said earlier, very difficult to do math with a keyboard. And now we can write the math. You see there, you hit a little button in OneNote, and you can graph it. And we give you automatically a graph of that equation that you wrote with the pen. and you can just in one button insert that onto the OneNote canvas. And so now you've just taken something that you wrote with the pen and created a formal illustration of it, essentially, with really just a couple clicks. And so this is super powerful, both in education, but we've even seen some practices outside of the education world beginning to really adopt this and use it for a lot of different use cases. And it's pretty exciting.
And yet another example of this creating professional content and using your ink to help you out is the feature that we call ink replay. What it does is that once your ink is on a slide, if you click ink replay, it will play all of the sequence of events that happen to create a picture. This particular image that I have here was drawn by an artist for us for Office using only the PowerPoint pens and pencils that we ship today. So I think it's amazing because I can't draw at all. So, but I made a little GIF here, and I wasn't going to run through the whole thing. This is like a 25 minutes of ink replay because it took the artist really long. But you can see how like you really get to understand the process at which like the ink is coming out. And so when we're going back to that point of how the modern workspace has changed and the way people work has changed, the assumption that we're always going to be on the same physical location at the same time in order for us to explain something to somebody else and for them to be able to consume it is an assumption that we cannot make any longer. And so a lot of times we find that when you present people with the end result, whether it is like a really complicated diagram, whether it is something that you just have a lot of steps and you're just seeing the end result, that sometimes is not enough. Sometimes you need to understand how you got there to understand that final result. For me personally, there's this architectural diagram that I swear I like write like once a day at least.
I've been in the meetings. She has to write this thing all the time.
All the time. And it's because it really helps people follow through, right? You're like, okay, we're here, and then this thing is going to happen, and that's how this converts to this thing. And people are like, I get it now. So if you can do all of that same thing, but then like have it ready for people to consume on their own terms, on their own like location, on their own time, we're really helping that collaboration. And that would be something that would be really hard to do without your pen. Like you have to record it maybe with a whiteboard. Like it's just, there's not an easy equivalent that you can like use quickly.
So we talked a little bit about creation and some of the features that we're doing to light that up. This next section is about collaboration. So we started to just allude to some of that with the ink replay feature. Go ahead a little bit here. We're going to roll a video for that brand new product that I mentioned a little earlier, Microsoft Whiteboard, something that I personally work on, really excited about. We have a talk later today. I see Angela's in the audience, so we're going to be doing that this afternoon. But this is a video that's kind of unveiling that product, so if you haven't been familiar, check it out.
Every form of art has its own superpower. Books have immersion, and paintings have singular focus. Games are the only one that let you directly control what the action is and what the story is going to be.
Night School Studio is an independent game developer based out of Los Angeles, and our first game is a game called Oxenfree. We want to be as flexible as possible in terms of the types of people we work with and even physically where they are.
It's almost always the case that the right person for the job is not necessarily in the right city.
The creative process at Night School is very fluid and organic because we're a really small team.
You can have these moments of inspiration and spark that happen really organically when you get in a role of brainstorming or sketching or thumbnailing.
I'm always trying to find ways to communicate with people who aren't in the same space as me.
Co-collaborating on the whiteboard has really sparked a new form of collaboration.
We have found that working with the Surface Hub has removed a lot of steps that we didn't realize were problems in the process because they were just natural aspects of how we worked.
Suddenly being able to collaborate with different people, different cultures, different walks of life, you get all these different perspectives being added to the teams. And I can only see benefits to that.
So that's Microsoft Whiteboard. So that's a brand new app. It's on the Surface Hubs right now. We did an actual update overnight worldwide back in late May. So if your org has some Surface Hubs, you can walk up and try it out today. I want to call out a couple things that we did, kind of new innovation that we brought to the ink space to help unlock some of that collaboration that we showed in the video. The first one you may have seen is this thing called Ink Presence. So if we zoom in here and roll the video, you're actually seeing icons of the people that are entering the whiteboard session in the top right. And that just means they're there, they're present. They're now actively participating or watching the session at least. And then you see there's additional presence icons that are kind of floating around the screen wherever the ink is coming in. And we found through user testing this is actually really important to people because they are able to understand who's contributing what ideas on that canvas. So think of an ideation session, a brainstorm session type of environment. You're able to quickly understand who's doing what, and the Whiteboard app supports a bunch of people joining a session and working at the same time, whether they're in the same room or not. They could be remote. And so this is something that we kind of innovated on with ink presence to help understand what's going on in that Whiteboard session.
I always laugh because Ian is so used to all of his ink being backed by intelligence that he doesn't even call out all of the things that you just saw in that video beyond presence. For me, it's just super exciting. I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but like your squares become real squares. You can make tables on the go and get you some structure on this very unstructured session of the whiteboard. You saw also geometry on the shapes. We can calculate exactly the angles of that triangle and change them on the fly with your pen. So I get really excited about that because that's, you know, as one of our principles, we say we want that ink to be intelligent and to be magical. And as that's like the world I want to live in. I want all of my ink to be smarter than any of the ink I can bring just by myself and really bring that set of features alive that really enhance that productivity when you're working together with other people. And for us and the rest of Office, we're building these features as well. And I wanted to call out specifically this feature that we call Ink Editor, and it's in Word today. And this scenario is something that I'm sure you all have done. You probably have done the analog version where you actually print a paper and you're annotating on it because that's like very intuitive, very natural. It just feels very right to do it that way. And then you've probably also done my couch version where I'm like trying to work from my couch and commenting on this document, and then I have like the whole T-Rex arms going on because I'm trying to balance the laptop, and it's just a terrible mess. And it also becomes really hard because you go in paragraph 3, section 2, the thing that you said, and it's just really hard to express those things with words when you just type in them, right? So that's what we brought Ink Editor to all of you. And if we zoom in on the video, what Ink Editor allows you to do is use your pen to quickly select some text. That's going to kick up like the quick formatting toolbar, so you can super quickly do some work there. You can strike through to delete. You can also use your pen highlighter to actually convert that into real highlighters. So this is, again, about bringing that collaboration, that scenario that already exists, and supporting it better thanks to having this intelligence-backed up ink that allows you to do this very natural way of interacting with your document. So we're also very excited about that and continuing expanding that. You can imagine a world where, like, it's just that. That's how ink works. Ink is just intelligent and magical for you. And then another feature that we're very, very excited about is having your pen as a multi-use tool. And I don't know if you guys have realized, but we've gone all of the deck. I've been advancing our deck and playing our videos just using my pen. That is also the thing I use to write on my screen. So we're very excited about that new exploration of what else can your pen do for you. You're really going to need your pen to accomplish all of those workflows that we've mentioned before, but we want to take it even farther. We want to give you the option to do even more with it, like, for example, be your clicker. So you don't have to remember now to bring not just one tool, but 2 tools into your daily workflows.
So we wanted to kind of wrap up today with some examples from people other than Microsoft employees on a stage talking about digital inking. So the first one here that we have is actually from the Whiteboard app that we were talking about earlier, from Mashable. And honestly, as a product person, I couldn't ask for a better press headline than this. It was Microsoft Whiteboard is the virtual collaboration tool we've been dreaming of. And Lance Ulanoff, who's their editor-at-large, was saying that this app, nothing like it, showcases the pen so well. It kind of really, really brings it to life. And so really excited to hear some of the reactions early on from that new experience. And the other one here is for that feature we showed you before, we actually call it Ink Effects. That's that rainbow and galaxy and gold and silver and all those new types of ink that we shipped. The backstory to that actually started in OneNote, and we were so focused on education with the OneNote app. I went to a school, and I walked into a 7th grade classroom, and I said to this group of students, if you could have digital ink do anything, what would you want it to do? And this girl in the back of the room, she was like really, really shy. She raised her hand. She's like, I think it would be cool if the ink looked like a rainbow. And then the whole class erupted. Like, they freaked out. They got super excited. And we took that back, because when you get a reaction that strong, that's like a clear signal that there's something there. There's a nugget. And I brought it back to our design team and I said, how can we make this not just for students, but how can we make it for everybody? How can we bring that same passion that they had, that excitement for this way to express themselves to every kind of person? And so we ended up developing a set of ink effects, not just the rainbow, but we have one that's called Galaxy, where we actually sampled Hubble space photography.
This is the one there.
Yeah, which is the one right there. And then we created some more, I would call muted or professional ones, like gold and silver, and a whole range of additional ones that Office just shipped, actually, like another set of 4. And so this is a reaction from a middle school teacher, Valerie, and she was just saying how well it worked for her, both for her students and for herself, and how excited she was. She drew that image and tweeted it to us, which was just so nice to see that kind of a reaction.
Now, the funny part is that, we also shipped this in Office, obviously, and somebody also tweeted about it. And honestly, I love special effects because I think that we spend a lot of time at work to have some fun. And I just feel like it gives you that little happiness of using different things and really express yourself. But I wasn't completely convinced that everybody else was going to think the same way. I'm like, maybe some people think that that's just not professional enough or that's not what they want to do. But then the reactions to that tweet were just fantastic. They were like, people were like, glitter makes everything better. This is everything I've been waiting for. And this is really funny because it happened to me in real life where I would go into a meeting where the average age is not educational and everybody's like, oh my God, I just used the rainbow pen and that just totally changed my life. I'm like, really? I mean, that's awesome. But I was not expecting this. It really gives you some insight into when you actually give the tools to people, you'd be surprised sometimes what they're expecting to do. And sometimes giving that magical moments and that delightful moments throughout your working day, it's very nice. And this particular answer, I love it because it says, Microsoft is really knocking our socks off these days. I love the pens on OneNote, UWP, and now in Office too. And that's the reaction we strive to achieve with everything that we ship, right? We want people to be like, wow, this is exactly what I needed. I may not even know that I needed this until you guys shipped it, but now I really, really want it. So we're super excited about all of those reactions we're getting. And to kind of wrap things up, we're just going to roll on this video that also is another example of what we aspire to enable our users to do thanks to the power of pen.
Every day, you have the opportunity to create something that truly matters, something bigger than yourself. It takes passion and collaboration, the open flow of ideas from one person to the next. Microsoft Office keeps bringing you new ways to make this possible. With Office and Windows, inking lets you harness the digital world through the power of touch. Create in more natural ways, and let Office translate your vision into reality. Mark up anything in front of you, and easily share it with others. Stay on the same page no matter where you are. As fast as you are with your pen, Office knows what you mean and makes it happen. Unleash your creativity with ink in Office and Windows, because everything you need to achieve something that truly matters is right at your fingertips.
So I know the clip ended there with what will you do with your next 365, which is a little marketing slogan thing that we are using in a lot of our ads. But we just wanted to end by saying we can't wait to bring you guys a lot more ink innovation coming forward. I can just tell you personally, we're investing a ton in it inside the company. And we have a lot of cool stuff coming to show that I can't talk about today, but hopefully next year if you come back, we'll be here doing the same thing and showing you a lot more new ways to ink and to think with ink. So with that, we'd love to open it up for questions. I think we have about 6 or so minutes. If you can, just please step up to the mic. And if you want to come up to us afterwards and have a one-on-one conversation, that's awesome too.
You can also try some of the effects. I know sometimes when you see them on the big screen, this is a lot about that natural and expressive feeling. So if you want to try it, we have a bunch of Surface Hubs on the expo booth that you can go and use, but you can also just come up to us and play with our devices if you don't have one.
And my last quick call out will be for that other talk if you were interested in the Microsoft Whiteboard app. That's this afternoon. Do you remember the time, Angela? Okay, 12:45. So feel free to look that one up on your schedules. You got a question?
Thanks for the presentation. You guys did a great job. I have a question about the differences, and maybe if you could speak to the future plans for OneNote 2016 seems to have different ink abilities from what just came out with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, which is that itself slightly different but closer to the store or Universal Windows Platform OneNote,
Yep.
Win10 OneNote.
Totally. Yeah, so that's a great example of that thing that we mentioned, I think, in the very early part of the talk, which is we're working to bring more consistency to all the apps. And there's a lot of reasons for why that exists right now. The honest answer is different development teams doing different things at different times, and we needed to kind of bring it all together and be more on the same page, frankly. And so one of the things that Marta and I are both on, this is a little inside baseball, is like we call Microsoft Inc. V-Team at Microsoft. And it's really just this kind of like consortium of Office, Windows, there's some Surface people there, there's myself from OneNote and Whiteboard, and we literally meet every single week now, and we kind of are going through all those cases point by point and figuring out how to make them more consistent. With OneNote in particular, the thing I can say is that all of our new ink investments in about the past 2 years have gone only into the OneNote Windows 10 app, and that will be our strategy going forward. And so if you care about inking and you happen to like OneNote, download that app. It's free. It comes pre-installed also on Win10 devices. And give it a shot, because you may not even realize how much stuff my team has shipped in the past 2 years if you're on the 2016 app.
I keep going back to that, and I keep running into this one thing, that one thing from the old OneNote.
Yep, totally.
Is the plan to bring all that in and eventually get
Yes.
away from the old OneNote?
Yep, it's actually been our plan, and we've been working super hard on it for about the past year. And so if you actually go to the OneNote blog, or if you just launch the Windows 10 app and you get the little what's new dialog, you'll probably be shocked, because it's like chock full of things every month now, because we did a quick thing where we talked to customers and found out what are the biggest things that are missing in the Windows 10 app. And just we're going through it line by line and filling in those items. So stay tuned.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you happen to know the best place for me to get caught up with what I can do? Like I was expecting this one to be more of like a how-to, but it was more of like a why. I'm convinced that it's cool and I want to try it out. In case I happen to like win a Surface or something, what's the fastest way for me to learn like exactly how to do everything that was going on?
So one way you can do that, the Office blog keeps updating every time we ship new features and kind of goes into detail on how you can get the plan. But really, we're striving at you not having to learn anything. If you have to go and find somewhere how to use your pen, we're failing at our job, so please let us know. Because the idea is that you just put your pen on the screen and all of those things that we talk about just happen. And then you have the draw tab that comes out automatically when you put your pen down, and you can see there, like pretty much old school, if you have your set of pens in front of you, all of the things that you can do with them. So all of your tools are right there on that draw tab. You don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to configure anything, you just gotta start using your pen.
One of the things I'll add is that in OneNote we did is when you bring your pen to the screen, we automatically switch the tab to the draw tab. And so then you're presented in your UI with everything that you could do with the pen.
Yep.
And so you don't have to worry about, oh, is it buried in some other menu or something? It's all right there.
It's all right there, yeah.
So like along those lines, like I'm not an artist, I'm not especially creative in my job, but I can see still the usage for it. Outside of OneNote, like I understand like I'm gonna learn quick in OneNote,
Yeah.
but I don't live in OneNote too often. So like the best way to find out throughout Windows.
You have exactly the same capabilities in all of the other Office apps, and you still have that draw tab in all of the Office apps, same behavior where you're just gonna see it and be able to do it. And then we're also, again, because we're on this like Microsoft Inc. V-Team, we're working really closely to understand, or like kind of start exploring what we can do to really make those ink capabilities across the whole ecosystem, not just within Office, very visible and very intuitive for our users. So we're gonna be working on that outside of Office sphere as well.
One other quick thing you can do, this is a good tip for anybody, if you're on Windows 10 and you have a pen, go near the clock. There's a little pen icon that you'll see if you tap that. It's called the Pen Workspace. The Pen Workspace highlights all of Microsoft, but also third-party apps that support inking, and it gives you basically a start menu for ink. So I highly recommend checking that out. It's a great way to learn about everything. So thanks for the question.
What about devices? What kind of devices do I need to have to be able to use ink?
Great question. Yeah, sure. So there's a big range of devices. One of the things I like about being at Microsoft is we have first-party devices from the Surface line and also a ton of amazing OEM third-party devices that you can choose from. Really, if you just go and look online, you want to get something that has a pen and has the ability to accept pen input. There's a lot of ways that you can ink, though, with your finger. So a lot of touchscreen devices will support that. It just means that you won't get some of the kind of fine point control that you might get with a pen. So there's some benefits there. And then additionally, what we're doing is innovating on what else the pen can do for you besides just inking. So like the pen clicker for slides is a good example. That's because the pen has Bluetooth built in. And so it can do a bunch of cool stuff like launch apps by just hitting the top of the button. If you have a frequent app that you like to use. In Windows, you can actually go to the settings for the pen and you can specify a specific application that you want to launch when you click it. So maybe you're not a big PowerPoint person, but you want to launch like OneNote or, I don't know, some third party. You can go select that. But the one thing I will call out is that there's two types of pens out there in terms of the technology. The one that I think it gives a better user experience for people is something called an active pen. That means that the pen is actually actively communicating with the device, and it has a digitizer in the device that reads the data from the pen. And so that's one thing to look for. It'll give you a better experience. So.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
So to kind of build off the comment just a minute ago about all the things you can do, I mean, I totally understand, you know, kind of like active discovery of things, you know, by just putting your pen on there. But like, you know, sometimes a cheat sheet just helps. Like, you know, I know how to put a table in OneNote. I'm not going to think, oh, I can draw one.
Yep.
I know how to go click on the bar and put a table in. So I probably won't ever discover that because I'm not just going to try to draw a table. So just a big list of features would be awesome. I mean, I know it's not the most creative thing ever, but
that's really good. Really good feedback. I mean, I think like we use the Office blog kind of to like do a little bit of that, but definitely we're also thinking of what other ways we can put out there. Hey, here's all of the things you can do with Ink, and especially as we're thinking not within a single app, but just kind of be like, here's a pen first flow, you know, and how you do those things. I think that's a great feedback. To also add on the previous comment, if you're in Office 365, which is how you're going to get all of these new pen updates, every time you get an update, you have what we call the what's new, which literally tells you what's new in that update. So that's also going to tell you, for example, hey, now you can draw a square with your pen and it will convert it into a table. So that's also a good thing to keep up like an eye for, because normally I sometimes just dismiss it too fast, let's be honest. But that's a great way also of hearing what we just came up with.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll preface this with, we're just getting started with touch and pens and drawing. So this may be a real simple question to most people, but we've had some of our team that has used OneNote. They would like to pull a picture in, annotate on it. If they move the picture, the annotation stays over here.
Yep, I know where you're going with this. Yep.
So is that, are we doing something wrong, or is that?
No. It's something that we call ink anchoring. So obviously it would be nice if that ink just followed the picture around when you moved it. It's something that technically has just been really challenging because we like to say there's a lot of edge cases around that where like there's just a lot of ways that people may ink on a thing, and classic example is you draw like an arrow that starts on the picture but then it has an arrowhead that's not connected. Should we make that thing because we don't know necessarily if it's attached to the picture because it's not technically, but there's things like that that make it hard. Those are really just excuses to you, right? You don't care. You're just like, make it work. The real answer to the question is we understand. We've heard that loud and clear. We're working on it, and hopefully I can talk about something soon. So.
Yeah, we're actually doing a lot of work for that precise type of scenarios everywhere across the ecosystem, because the more we learn about how people use ink and the more we get that data from like, and we can use intelligence to really understand the intent of people, the better we're going to become at making those scenarios better, because now we know, hey, you know what? All of the people, when they're like around this set of the picture, they're 95% of the time referring to the picture. If we know that, then we can do something about it much easier than if we're just guessing.
Yep.
And so that's the problem. It's like, well, you don't have the data, and while we're trying to guess the right thing, there's all of those edge scenarios that make nailing that really hard. But as we get more of that data and we become smarter, we have that help from intelligence, all of those things are going to become much more smooth.
Yeah, I hope so, because it was like highlighting on a PDF or something, and then
Yeah, it was in a Word document, yeah.
Yeah, and so.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Thanks for the question.
Yeah.
Okay, first, thanks for the presentation. There's not many presentations you get where you get the words passion and excitement. And whenever you were talking about the kids, I really get that a lot, volunteering in a school. It's amazing. One of our colleagues asked about what's the quickest way to get up to speed. Simple solution, just give it to your 9-year-old kid, and they will teach you everything. I'm serious, I've only had this 2 weeks, and I've learned more from my kids on how to use it than any video. My question is, and I've used Wacom tablets for years now, it's all one direction, okay? It's all, you're always inputting. There's no feedback. Like if you're using chalk, charcoal, pencil, watercolors, you don't get that sensitivity, that pressure. How is there any plans to come back with that sort of input?
That's a great point. There's a lot in this space that you can do, potentially, and there's a lot going on. So I'm going to try to rattle off some stuff, and I'm sure you have some things too. So one is that with the new Surface Pen, we actually added in tilt capability. So when you actually tilt the pen, we can change the stroke thickness, for example, and we can do different things like that. It's really great for shading something or bringing like a thick highlight to something.
Again, my 9-year-old boy showed me that.
Yep, there you go.
I'm deadly serious.
Yeah, they're great at that.
They're
right? They're innovators.
Yep.
So they're really looking for what the technology can do for them and not being like, I wonder if this works.
Yeah.
They just try it. So
in addition, there's like new textures that we can develop in the ink itself. So a good example of that is we recently shipped in the OneNote app a pencil tool. So it actually has the texture that looks like real pencil. And so that's something that's a good example of the kind of texture-based stuff. And there's some other things in terms of like the latency of the pen that matters, which is like how laggy it is when you're removing it. Every new pen that we do in the Surface line, and a lot of our OEMs too, that keeps decreasing. So it's near zero now. I mean, it feels really good. Even if you had like a Surface Pro 3 with the purple tip pen, and you compared it to the new one, it's like light years better. It's awesome. So
that's exactly what I was going to comment on. Sorry, I
Yeah, no.
meant to cut you off. But I came into the space fairly recently, and like honestly, like in the last couple years that I've been working on this, I'm just mesmerized of how far we've come, and that's only exponentially getting better, right? So a lot of people are like, yeah, you know, I don't use a pen because it just doesn't feel like a real pen. I'm like, get a new one, and then we can talk about it because it really feels like it, right? Like we had all of these questions about, yeah, but the friction with the paper, the sound. I've heard the sound of the paper, you know, like it just. I like writing with a pencil, like it just gives me this like really nice feeling. And the more and more that we advance our technology and our hardware, which is what that first slide was talking about, we're really closing that gap really fast. And suddenly you realize that maybe the sound wasn't really what it mattered. What it matters is that there's not like too much friction, that there's no lag with your ink, that there's like the textures that you want to use. And as we're bringing more and more of that, we are starting to hear less and less of the complaints about it just doesn't feel like my analog pen and paper. So I think you're going to see a lot of those improvements coming in the next few months, but already a lot of them have already happened.
And I'll just highlight, with the Surface devices and the pen, they started shipping a little packet of tips that you can get that change the different actual like endpoint of the pen. And so that's something that you can play with. It gives it a lot different feel depending on what your use case is. And I think the default on the new pen is we call it the friction tip. And it actually is like a little bit of felty feel to it. So when you put it to the screen, it's not sliding all around like plastic on glass. And that makes a huge experience difference. So.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, folks. I'll see you later on.
You.
Cheers.
Have you guys done a lot of work with Visio?
We're working with them. As we said, this is like a whole design for the ecosystem. So they still don't have a lot of ink, but like definitely something that we're bringing into when we think about how everybody needs to support ink.
I actually used to work on Visio.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Well, I'm curious, is there anything in particular you'd like to see?
Yeah, just it would make, especially network diagrams.
Yeah, that's what we hear all the time. It's like, hey, if I could use just my pen to draw all of that and make a Visio diagram. So definitely great feedback because we've also heard it before. Yeah.
Thanks. Yep. I wish I could tell you today. I know. But come. So here's what I'll say. Come to the talk this afternoon and maybe, not guaranteeing it, but maybe you'll find out something that you didn't know. But we're working on it. Yep. Okay, thanks everybody.
Thank you so much.